Good morning, everybody. This is Lorraine Ball.
And Jennifer Denny.
And you were probably expecting a third face here this morning because we were hoping Megan Brame would be able to join us. She had a last minute conflict, so you stuck with Jen and I.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, bummer. But, we were talking because we were originally going to talk about Instagram and, we're having trouble posting to LinkedIn. Oh, well. We
Technology.
Yeah, I love technology when it works, and I hate it when it doesn't.
You got to roll with it when you go live. You can't worry about those details.
No. So anyway, as I was saying before I started getting warning flashes from LinkedIn, we while we were waiting for Megan, both Jennifer and I were sharing the fact that Instagram isn't our first platform, but we learned something interesting as we were talking, which is that I'm a LinkedIn girl and you're a Facebook girl.
I'm a Facebook girl. Yeah.
Megan! Wait, here we go.
Hi.
Oh, what's happening?
Change of plans again.
Hello, my friends. How are you?
We are so glad to see you. It is so nice to have you here. And we're going to dive into LinkedIn this morning.
Ooh, excellent. I love
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
No, wrong. We're going to dive into Instagram.
That was your favorite. That's why you said that.
I know.
Yeah, see, it is. LinkedIn is my favorite, but it's not everybody's. And you are like a rock star on Instagram, and so we're hoping you're going to drop some wisdom on us.
Megan, I'm a Facebook girl. Like, I like Facebook. So we've got all three platforms here. Like, so tell us, like, Instagram, why?
Why not? Instagram is great for people who run businesses that have something visual to say. Now, I have found that Instagram is super successful for businesses who really enjoy, business owners, I should say, who really enjoy just having that connection with people, having that visual connection. So especially now that, live streaming and reels and all of those things are available on Instagram now, it's just made it so much easier for people to connect with their user bases and develop, just really shore up that know, like, and trust sales funnel.
Okay. Live streaming on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When did that happen?
When did that happen? Which platform?
I believe it's in beta, so maybe I'm dropping the hammer on it a little bit too. It's coming. If you haven't seen it yet, it's coming, because they want to be all things to all people all the time. So yeah.
I was gonna say, I did read an article about Instagram kind of saying that they did want to be the next TikTok. So I think I remember hearing that, and I was like, oh, well, I could do that. I don't know why I don't like TikTok either. It just is very addicting, but that's a whole nother story.
Wait,
agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So, and TikTok may be kind of where my Instagram relationship used to be. That was fun. Before Facebook bought Instagram. And it was just about
let's all pour out a little bit of coffee for the original Instagram. Yeah.
It was all about just the beautiful photos, and it was the great interface, and you could do photos on the fly. And it was just very raw, and it was just it was just very genuine. I think that's where TikTok is right now. And I think maybe that's why it's so addicting, is because there isn't the sameness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go on TikTok, but I the creativity, and maybe there was that creativity with Instagram, and so I can see that because it's images, but I guess there's not as much interaction there. It's more of like images. I can't lead them to a website, and I guess that's why I like Facebook.
Makes sense. It makes sense. I think that one of the biggest detriments to Instagram, one is the algorithm, but that's a whole other rant for another day. Also, the ability to only have one link in your profile, it makes it much more challenging to get people through your sales funnel. But I think, to put it on the flip side a little bit, it's also made us think outside the box. So rather than just having the standard picture call to action with a link, you got to kind of get people invested in you, right? And start thinking about it like a gamification almost of how can you get people to get that little peak of curiosity to go to your profile and then your link and get that process started. Once they click that link, they're already kind of invested. So you just got to keep that going. And I think that that has been a blessing in disguise for marketers like us.
As you say that, I'm thinking about some of the Instagram experiments that we did, and maybe we just didn't stay with them long enough. Is the kind of, you tell the story one post at a time, and you sort of unveil it. So after you're at it for a while, you go to the profile, and then there's this whole kind of story that has unfolded.
Right.
But as marketers, I think we're a little impatient.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's very fair to say. Yeah.
Are we impatient, or are business owners maybe impatient? Like,
we're all excited. We want it now.
Yeah. Well, that's the world we live in. Like, do you have, you talk about the creativity, like in business owners, and I think that's where they get stuck. And obviously that's where experts kind of come in. Like, what are some of your tips for business owners to think outside of, this is a good platform for me?
I think that people put a little too much gravitas to it. I think that people will see the feed or their grid and start thinking like, I have to put everything here. I have to be everything to everyone, to everybody. And what I like to do is instead kind of flip it and think about, it's not about how you feel you should look. It's about how people use the platform. So rather than thinking like, I don't know what to post, I don't know what I'm doing here, start looking at what people are posting. It's totally fine to follow the same format as other people when you're getting started. You don't need to be disruptive. I think it's actually to your detriment to start being disruptive right away. You need to build that following and have that sort of clout before you can start getting a little fancy with it. So that's why I always recommend, don't feel like you need to reinvent the wheel here. Start seeing what people, not even your competitors, because there's a side tangent I have about that, but people who are in parallel industries to you. So if you're a marketing coach or a business coach, start looking at what people in wellness coaching are posting and see if you can kind of flip that and like tweak it, pivot it to your industry. That way you start getting more comfortable understanding how people are using Instagram as a platform, not only for their businesses, but also for engagement. And that way you're not feeling like, I got to post all the things and I don't know where to start. Just start with a parallel industry, kind of tweak it a little bit.
Okay, so I have similar related question. I don't know. When I first started on Twitter, I had a Twitter account, and it was me, and it was my business, and it was both. And you would get marketing tips and stats and what I had for breakfast. Okay. And then somebody was like, no, you really need to separate that. There's a Lorraine account, there's a Round Peg account. And now I understand that, and okay. But then I went to Instagram, and Instagram was my happy place. And so now, as I'm growing out less of the agency and more kind of the coaching world, you might get a photograph of a flower, and you might get a promo for my next speaking gig. Is that good? Is that bad? Should I have multiple Instagram accounts? Oh my God.
That is a big question. I think that you need to decide how much you want people to be, how much of the curtain you want to pull back. Based on how social media works now. Before we had separate everything, and that made sense because we were siloing. These were my customers, and these were my friends, and things like, and these are my parents, and my parents can see what I'm posting on my friends, and all, and no one can see my political ones and things like. So what happened was, all of these feeds started to come together, and because our customers started wanting to know what our values were as business owners, and very much so began supporting businesses or not supporting businesses based on the values of the executive team. if it's just a solopreneur or if it's a board or whatever, how do you feel about Black Lives Matter? What is your stance on LGBTQIA? What are all of these things? We want to know. And so it no longer became, I keep this little part of me to myself. It became, I want to know about this part. Now, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a personal brand story.
It's true.
For me, like, depending on like what industry you're in, I think the industry that we're in, it is a personal brand story, but different industries are different. That's what I would say.
To that point too, that doesn't mean you need to bring everything. Like my husband is not on social media. He doesn't want to be on social media. So I don't bring him in. I don't, he's, I'll be single Megan on social media. That's fine. But also his part of it isn't the same story that I want to tell. So since it's not relevant, it doesn't have to be there. So that's kind of my advice for people is understand that your values are going to come into play much more than they were before when it was just people buying from businesses and not people buying from people. But now that we are buying from people, you got to put that curtain back a little bit, if only to show where your lines in the sand are drawn.
I think it helps, Lorraine, from my perspective. Like when I see your flowers, like it just tells a little story about who you are. And, it's not just all about, marketing. Yeah, we love marketing, but we are real people too. And we like flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah. I have no idea. It's so funny because everybody will be like, oh, what kind of flower is that? How the fuck?
It's pink.
I don't know.
I found it on deposit photos.
I just like it. It looks pretty.
Okay, this is clearly I have not had enough coffee this morning.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So live is real.
Yes.
It's authentic though, and I think that's what you're trying to say, Megan. Is there's a little bit. I personally, I guess it's a personal choice for me when I see a business owner maybe get too involved politically. I think that's their choice. However, me as a consumer, it turns me off. Like I don't want, constantly see what your opinion is, but maybe that's just what I don't like about social media.
True.
Is constant, like, here's my opinion and my opinion matters. Like, yes, it does, but not everybody needs to see it every day.
Agreed. And I think that there is a tightrope that has to be walked there because people want to know, but they don't want it shoved in their faces. Like you can put that black square up and support Black Lives Matter and, donate and do things like that. But it doesn't have to be every post unless that is your ideal customer, somebody who is really politically active and things like that. But if they're not, if they're just sort of like do you support Black Lives Matter or not? All right, then fine.
Yeah.
You got to balance that with your avatar profile, basically.
It was really interesting because when I started the business, that was a rule. We are not going to talk about politics. We're not going to talk
religion,
about
no politics.
No religion, no politics. I have my set of political views that don't necessarily line up with a lot of the people that are hiring me, and they're not hiring me for my political views. But there was a moment, and I remember there was some legislation here that I thought was just onerous and awful, and it was really hard for me. But I was not because I wasn't really angry about the legislation, but because I thought, oh my God, I know I have clients that are on the other side of this. And then I went, I gotta, because this is that line in the sand. And I think
that's a great example though, that like it's your personal brand, and that's what makes sense, and that's what you stood for. But I think as a business, you just have to think about the people that are employed with you. You have to think about your clients, and you have to think about alienating people, because there's two different sides a lot of times. I'm not saying you shouldn't have an opinion. I just think that if you're too vocal and too opinionated, then it just doesn't always belong in the business world. That's just my opinion.
We had it at one point. I think we had a lot of people that were on both sides in the company. but it was interesting. The more vocal I became about my opinion, I definitely attracted a very different style employee and company. I mean, it just,
Yeah. Well, you have to get along. You know, you have to have the same values. I think somebody said, well, it was on our show. If you can't get on a boat with somebody for 3 hours and get along with them, then they probably shouldn't be on your team.
all right. So
But
Megan,
Instagram.
yeah,
or
but
your
Instagram.
customer to that extent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, final shot. We like to keep these calls short. There's always so much, and we always love talking with you. But final thoughts, if we're gonna dip our toe into Instagram and not drown.
Oh my goodness. No pressure.
No pressure.
The name of the game is consistency. I don't care what you post. I don't care if you post like a picture of your toe every day, if that's what you have to do. Maybe you're into that. Whatever. The point is, the way the algorithm works, the algorithm is super lazy. It doesn't want to do a lot of work. So it looks for brands or accounts that post regularly. That's considered safe content to use because they know they can reasonably pull from you all of the time. If I know you are posting once a day, or if I know you're posting every Tuesday at 9 a.m., me as the algorithm knows that, okay, I can go to Lorraine's account or Jennifer's account, and I know there's going to be fresh content there to keep people on the feed, and then I can sell them more ads, and we'll make so much more money. That's how it works. It doesn't matter what you post, how you post, it matters that you're consistent. If you can just nail that one thing down, you are so much further ahead than like 98% of people.
All right. So, thank you, Megan. This was great. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today.
It is always so fun to talk to you two. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
We can talk for hours.
We'll have to have you back. I'm going to have a road trip, but we'll come back and we'll talk more.
Yay! Excellent.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.